When I was carrying out my research into short films at the beginning of this project for my A2 media studies, one of my focal targets was to establish and identify what the main codes and conventions of a short film are. Once I had a greater understanding of forms used to make successful real media products in the short film industry, I was able to begin to interweave and incorporate them within my own production. There are particular conventions I have specifically ensured were featured in my short film. Some are popular forms that I have found many real media products to use. Some are forms that challenge the stereotypical features of a short film, and I have justified my reasons for choosing to use these. The following outline the forms and conventions I have used to help make my product conform with existing products, as well as make it unique and interesting to the consumer. Throughout my short film, the main source of lighting for my shots was natural light. This was because the majority of my film was set during daylight hours. This is found to be a popular choice in most short films, as shooting during the night would require sufficient light sources, and short films stereotypically run on a low budget, so may not be able to afford to put the little money they have to lighting. However, I also challenged this convention by using the headlights of my car for the last scene in the graveyard. This was as it was during the night, and I found that this method of light created a more dramatic ambience than the large torches I had originally planned to use. It is very common for short films to include a mixture of diegetic and non-diegetic sound, and I have adhered to this convention and ensured both types of sound are featured throughout my short film. An example of each can be clearly noticed by the narrative in the short film. For the majority of the film, diegetic sound is used, with the main character directing the story, but at the end of the film, non-diegetic sound is used, with the use of a voiceover, which I will touch upon later in this evaluation. When researching short films, I also touched upon the popular use of background music, played quietly and discreetly in the film, giving it added effect and subtly creating a mood or emotion. This is what led me to use an instrumental version of a song that has a slight melancholy feel about it, without creating obvious connotations of sadness. Voiceovers are not used in the majority of short films, so this challenging convention, against the large percentage of real media products I have used, has developed an underrated form of narrative. By using voiceover in the last scene of my film, I am not only then having a variety of ways of engaging the audience with the experience of my main character, but I am also allowing them to focus on the visual scene in front of them, without the distraction of having a character on the screen talking to them. Another convention I have challenged within my short film is the use of text to tell the viewer the date of the next scene. This feature is scarcely used amongst the short films I watched during my research stages, but works for me in my own product. It not only creates an effective transition between each different scene, but also has significance to the story as the dates go backwards to lead to a shocking ending. A known feature in not only short but also feature-length films is the diverse use of camera angles and shots. Throughout my filming, I chose to use 2 cameras at different angles to give the viewer each scene from different perspectives. I also used a range of frame sizes to create moments which are more personal with close-up shots, so the viewer feels a greater connection with the main character, as well as moments where wide shots, also known as long shots, are used to give the consumer a view of the whole scene. The mise-en-scène of any film is very important, and before I started any filming, I would ensure that the set had a realistic verisimilitude, including the clothes the character wore, the props she held, or the surroundings within the room. The examples I have already mentioned for how I have developed and challenged forms and conventions of real media products in my own short film can be seen throughout my product, whereas the following are more specific forms I have learnt and incorporated into the short film. As it is a short film, there is little time to get an effective storyline across, so I have chosen to only use 6 separate scenes to tell the tale. As short films are usually low budgeted, the actors, directors, set hands, etc. are hardly ever famous or well known, so short films don't always mention the people involved, which is something I also avoided in mine. As short films are not distributed on a large scale, and their typical audience usually seek out the productions via short film websites or by visiting short film festivals, a certificate is usually unnecessary, but may sometimes be used in extreme cases when a particular film contains adult content, for example. This is why I chose not to certificate my short film. Unlike feature-length films, short films can be seen as more realistic, portraying life more pragmatically. This is why I challenge the stereotypical convention of having a happy ever after ending with the sad twist at the end of my film.